Bago po tayo magsimula, maaari ko po bang tanungin, sa end po ng ating mga audience, ako po ba ay malinaw na naririnig? Meron po ba tayong
Malinaw,
audio?
malinaw.
O sige po.
Thank you.
Meron po kasi tayong mga ilang mga panauhin na tayo po ay hindi malinaw na naririnig. Anyways, isang magandang hapon po kahit po ba ulan sa ating lahat at malugod na pagbati mula sa Future Earth Philippines. Muli niyo kaming samahan sa isa't kalahating oras ng palitan ng kaalaman na tiyak na kapupulutan ng aral at karunungan. Sasamahan po tayo sa araw na ito ng isang kilalang education and research integrator sa University of Maryland Centers for Environmental Science at Associate Graduate Faculty sa Marine, Historian at Environmental Science Program. Nagsimula ang kanyang nakaka-inspired na lakbayin o journey sa agham sa UP Diliman kung saan nagtapos siya sa National Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology at kumuha ng master degree sa UP Marine Science Institute bago nakamit ng kanyang doctorate degree in MEES sa Environmental and Society of Maryland. Isang malaking milestone sa kanyang karera ang pamumuno sa Coast Guard or Coastal Ocean Assessment for Sustainability and Transformation, isang kilalang international na consortium sa ilalim ng Belmont Forum na nag-uugnay sa Estados Unidos, Norway, Philippines, Japan at India. Dala ang pangdaigdigang kaalamang ito, nagbalik siya sa ating bayan bilang isang DUST balik scientist sa UP MSI upang ipioneer at ilapat ang makabagong transdisciplinary science sa Manila Bay sa pamamagitan ng PhilCoast. So samahan niyo kaming pakinggan ng isang natatanging sayantipikong patuloy na nag-uugnay na agham, lipunan at kalikasan para sa mas patatag na kinabukasan ng ating baybayin. Para po sa episode ngayong hapon ng ating programang pinamagatang Whose Bay It Is Anyway? From Consultation to Coordination, Turning Plans for Manila Bay into Action. So malugod po nating kilalanin at pinakikilala live from Maryland, Dr. Vanessa Vargas Nguyen. Dr. Vanessa, welcome po.
I thank you so much, Mark. Na ang na natakot ako sa iyong mga
Tagalog
Tagalog.
po, ma'am. Mapasensya po ako po puno at ugat ng Laguna. Kaya po ganito ako magtagalog.
Dali lang. Nawala tuloy ang aking share screen. Yan. Can you see my screen here?
Pa-thumbs up naman po kaya pa-heart react kung nakikita po ang power presentation po ni ma'am. Yan po. Sige po.
Thank you. So, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And madaling araw po dito sa akin. So, 3:30 in the morning. But it's still my absolute pleasure to be here and share some of the work that I've been doing with the PhilCoast project, partnering with Dr. Rod Asansa and Ma'am Luli Cruz to work on the Manila Bay Coast Guard project. And my involvement is really made possible by, as Mark said, the DOST Balik Scientist program. So this presentation actually doubles up as my exit presentation. So talking about whose bay is it anyway? Everyone kind of claims Manila Bay, yet as we all know, it stays degraded. Today, I want to share a bit of a story about how we can couple governance to ecology and how we can link the future of Manila Bay to the communities that depend on the bay and the agencies that manages it. So this is just a graphical timeline. Mark already mentioned some of my journey. As he said, I started as in a basic science research, molecular biology, marine science. And when I first moved in the US, I was doing my PhD in biomedical science, but I realized that it's not really my passion. So I did shift my focus to science communication and in integration. And in 2014, I actually helped produce the first environmental report card in the Philippines, which is the Laguna de Bay report card that is funded by the GEF. In 2015, I started my PhD program in Environment and Society. In 2018, I had another opportunity to come to the Philippines to facilitate a stakeholder workshop, but this time funded by GIZ. And I also used that opportunity to work with Dr. Cruz and Dr. Asanza to develop this Coast Guard proposal that we submitted to the Belmont Forum, comparing the Chesapeake Bay in the US, Manila Bay in the Philippines, Tokyo Bay in Shigaku Island in Japan, and the Goa Coast of India. And in 2020, just before my graduation, it was successfully funded, and this is the backbone of my backdrop of my engagement today. So this is my core belief that environmental problems are social issues, and everyone here in this call already knows that. The video shown earlier was really inspiring, thinking about how sustainability and resilience really, we should be able to connect the natural and the social science to solve those issues. And one of the main thing is that it's really hard for us to value things that we don't know, right? And then unfortunately, we don't protect the things that we don't value. And that means that when we're thinking about environmental problems, we need information that is salient or relevant, credible and legitimate, or produced fairly so that it can resonate with us. And from my experience, the way you get there is through co-production, by collaborating with people, co-designing solutions, co-producing products, communicating, and finally building capacity so that it continues. And we can get there by bridging both the environmental and social science. Relating back to the Philippines, this is like some of the core in my US engagement is the Pagtanaw 2050. Everyone here is familiar with that. And its vision is for a prosperous archipelagic maritime nation. And it sets out 12 key operational areas to get there. And 3 of those areas, blue economy, governance, and science education and talent retention, is what I'm trying to address in my Balik Scientist engagement. Blue economy and governance are really not separate problems. You cannot sustainably use marine resources without the coordination to manage them, right? And my other goal is to build transdisciplinary capacity, integrating the natural and social science with communication, engagement, and leadership. The water, climate change, food and nutrition, the lighter tiles here are just like the areas that the Manila Bay Philcoast project speaks to. So the big systems idea here is the land NCR1 system. And what the UAP MSI likes to frame it is like highland to the ocean, or H2O. Here it's like reach to reef. What we put on the land ends up in the sea. Fertilizer and waste from upland farms and cities, they wash down to the rivers and affect the marine ecosystem. Basically, you cannot govern the bay without really governing the watershed above it. And for Manila Bay, the biggest challenge is that millions of lives depends on Manila Bay. It feeds families, floats the economy, and shelters cities, and for fisher folks, it's a livelihood for them. For coastal families, it's their home. For our country, it's the cornerstone of our economy. And so when Manila Bay usually is found under life below water alone, but coastal sustainability is a governance challenge as much as an ecological one. So if we want to address the sustainability of Manila Bay, then we need to consider and interlink all the SDGs. Looking closely at Manila Bay's modern governance, it was set by 2 events. In 2008, there's the Supreme Court writ of continuing mandamus, which compels 13 agencies to rehabilitate the bay, creating more of a court-driven compliance hub. And in 2019, there's the Administrative Order 16 that created the Manila Bay Task Force under DNR. which adds a new coordination layer on top of the old one. So these two events explain the hub and spoke shape and the path dependence that you'll see later when I show you the network maps. And part of the challenge is that a lot of plans exist, but most of the time they don't hold. So we look at primary documents spanning 2001 to 24, and there are some issues that we see, right? 40% of coordination ties, they mostly exist because there's a donor-backed master plan. It's not usually enforcement or law. Some of them are incomplete. Mostly it's a national coordination, LGUs and communities who implement things are largely missing. And they're not really holistic or transdisciplinary. Some of them are organized sector by sector. So the science, the local knowledge, and the ecological systems aren't integrated. And it's very much apparent in the plans that do exist. So how are we trying to address this challenge? So we try to apply the Coast Guard framework, mentioned that earlier, but it means Coastal Ocean Assessment for Sustainability and Transformation Framework. It is a transdisciplinary approach that builds on the report card framework that my mentor in the US developed. It couples three instruments: social network analysis that can let us know who coordinates with whom and who is missing, systems dynamic modeling that can show us how management choice can affect the whole system, and a social environmental report card, which is a public scorecard that communities can easily understand. So we are applied it in the Chesapeake Bay, Tokyo Bay, and Sakesi Lagoon in Japan, the Gold Coast of India, and Manila Bay, each of which is owned locally, and we all learn from each other. Every country has different levels of maturity in terms of the science and their capacity. So we have different endpoints at this stage. So the project ended last year. So it's basically a 5-year project from 2020 to 2025. So the US team is the lead, and I serve as the consortium coordinator for the whole project. And the PhilCoast team, funded by the UST, is applying this framework in Manila Bay. And my Balik Scientist engagement allowed me to contribute to the Manila Bay PhilCoast team beyond my role as the coordinator, because we also have our study site in the Chesapeake Bay. So the Coast Guard framework is actually based on the framework that I developed. Phase 1, talking about planning. Phase 2 is the report card co-production process itself. And phase 3 is raise the grade, where we want to have some action in terms of the assessment we're doing. But the main idea is that stakeholder of every sector should help at every phase. So there is ownership into the process itself, and that means that they can be more engaged in finding the solutions. So the first application of the Coast Guard framework is in the Chesapeake Bay. I started this first when I developed the shared sustainable vision for what a Chesapeake Bay looked like. So I did a lot of interviews with different stakeholders in the Chesapeake Bay, and mostly like management and scientists. And this is the vision that we came up together. But through Coast Guard project, we developed this community listening session where we do go to the public and go to the parks, go to farmers market, and set up this little tents you can see here. And we engage people directly and ask them like what they think about Chesapeake Bay. So this is what I mean when we said that we're trying to advance co-production. And another layer that I bring is the network analysis. A report card or any tool can only change things if it reaches the people who can act on it. and if that relationship that exists to carry that decisions. So for co-production, we do need to know kung sino ba dapat yung kasama sa usapan, right? Whose knowledge matters, sino ba yung affected. And our governance network can show how the flow of information is, and then where it is blocked and where it is connected. And then you can optimize based on that. So knowing how people are connected can really help move knowledge to action. So that's the vision, co-production involving people and optimizing relationship. So how did we get to that? And what did it produce? So this is just for my Balik Scientist engagement as a glance. It was hosted at the Marine Science Institute, started in March 23. The in-person engagement, I was in Manila for the Pilcos project, the Pagtanaw 2050, but I also went to the Visayas State University in Baybay to help with their own report card. And you can see in this picture, I was having a meeting with the Philippine Coast Guard to discuss the Coast Guard framework and how PSG is an important part of it. And after that in-person engagement, we have a lot of like follow-up for the other deliverables that happen virtually. So just quickly, this is the engagement, the training that I led at VSU, where they were trying to develop a report card for the Pagbanganan River. I'm here with Dr. Charissa Pereira of UPMSI, and we led the first stakeholder training workshop. And after that, the VSU staff took it from there. Beyond my initial involvement and a few follow-up after the training, I wasn't involved much, but the project concluded last year. The terminal report looks really good. So I will consider that as a win in terms of capacity building. For our Manila Bay engagement, I helped co-organize the first Coast Guard conference and stakeholder meeting in 2023, facilitated a training in report card development through a report card game that we at UMCS developed with the World Wildlife Foundation, but we adopted it for Coast Guard. I also helped design and facilitate the listening session at the Philippine Coast Guard headquarters. And then we had additional trainings at the UP. So from the listening session, these are some of the outputs from that. We were able to develop the values and threats from the Manila Bay stakeholders. You can see on the left, the upper right in green are what shared values they see for Manila Bay is, and then the one below is the biggest threats to these values. And we also consolidated some of the vision statements for what a sustainable Manila Bay could look like for them. So this is another just pictures of co-production in practice. So after our first session at the Philippine Coast Guard headquarters, the Field Coast team was able to adapt the listening session in 2 other sites in Manila Bay. So this model, listening session model, enables stakeholders to name what they value and what threatens it, choose indicators together, map who's at the table and who's missing, and share their vision and priority actions. So it really tries to enable inclusion and community ownership. So this listening session model is described and highlighted in this tool guide for stakeholder engagement in coastal communities, which our Coast Guard team produced and published in 2024. So for those interested, there's a QR code. You can also just go to the website coastguard.org and you can download a copy. So basically just some tools on how to do stakeholder engagement and how the things that we practice in the Coast Guard team. So for Manila Bay specifically, contributed to the workshop newsletter, the Manila Bay Stakeholder Workshop and Conference newsletter. It's available in our Ian UMSI's website, and also in the Coast Guard website. The PhilCoast, the State of Manila Bay 2024, which is the primary deliverable for the PhilCoast team. I'm not sure, maybe Ma'am Rod can speak to it, but if it's available online or it's still waiting for print.
Sorry, can I interrupt? It's available, I think, through the DOST website. The secretary requested that all outputs be made available through the internet. So I think it's available. Even the tool guide, I hope it's available through the DOST website. Thank you.
Thank you po, Ma'am. Okay, so yeah, people in here can get the State of Manila Bay from the US website. And then the other one is the Manila Bay Report Card Framework. So at this stage, it's still framework. So we're hoping that we can continue building on this one and finally produce a report card for Manila Bay. All right, so now the network analysis, which is as far as I know, it's the first social network analysis of Manila Bay governance. And this one we did by coding primary legal and planning sources. So you can see the circles indicate the stakeholder group and the size reflect the strength of the relationship. So the bigger the size of the nodes, the more connected they are to other nodes. And the color of the circle indicates stakeholder types. So it could either be national, civil society, etc. So you can see here that there's a dense national government core. NEDA, which is now DepDep, is the largest hub with the Manila Bay Task Force, DNR, the PRA or the Philippine Reclamation Authority, and the courts as the other big hubs. And the LGUs, which are the implementers, are loosely tied at the edge. Some of the community actors, such as fisher folks, the urban poor, are on the periphery. And the barangays, the most local unit, as we know, is sitting completely unconnected. The color of the lines indicate what type of relationship exists between these two stakeholders. For example, if it's a coordination, relationship, mandate, or information. So the little caveat to this analysis is that it's still preliminary at this stage. We're doing a coding reliability test to make sure that it's not subjective, because as you can imagine, the type of relationship can be it's not necessarily straightforward depending on how you interpret the wordings. So we need to test the objectivity of the code book, but the presence of the ties, the relationship, they're all accounted for. And then on this map, it's just showing if relationship is present or not. So it doesn't really matter the type. And the important thing to note here is that you can see that NEDA holds 21 partners, and this 17 of those actors connect to Manila Bay governance through them and nothing else. So pag tinanggal natin siya, mababawasan yung connection. Bababa siya from 54 to 36. And thirdly, civil society is in the network because of the Manila Bay development plan of the planning process was convened. So they're not there because they are mandated to be there, but they're there because of the process itself. So after the planning, we don't know if they're still going to be connected or not. So this is a shows structural fragility. And also recently, NEDA was reorganized into the Department of Economy, Planning and Development. So we don't know if the mandate stays the same. So we're not sure if the connection will survive this transition. It's still an open question. Kasi if the inclusion depends on one institution rather than on a standing arrangement, our organization can reorganization essentially change.
Naghang po ba?
Parang
Akala ko
naghang?
nawala.
Parang nawala siya.
Ayan po, bumalik na po.
Okay, thank you.
Ako ba yung nawala? Biglang saan ako huling nawala?
Dun sa ano, ma'am, next.
After this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, that the advantage of the social network analysis is that they turn the who talks to whom into a measurable structure. And if you look closely here, non-state actors such as the civil society and private sector, 11 of those 13 hold no coordination ties. So you can see coordination is the green line. The Fisher folks appear only in consultation and in quote-unquote conflict, and the urban poor only in conflict. The barangays, the most local unit of government, as I said earlier, has no ties, suggesting some type of structural exclusion. So SINA, the socio-ecological network analysis that links governance network to the ecological system, is on the next slide here. All right, so this is the first pass of our socio-ecological network analysis. So we have 30 links coded from 6 primary sources. So I want to describe what the record contains rather than the findings itself, because we are still adding more documents to this. So the documents record pressure, monitoring, and jurisdiction well. 24 of the 30 links here. But it barely documents active management. There's only 2 links. So the green is the management. You can only see 2 links that are documented. And there's 2 whole categories that are not coded at all, yet resource use and knowledge, which means that this layer cannot yet say anything about the Fisher folks and the resources that they depend on. So sometimes that's the limitation of document coding is that you're coding based on documents. But there's also the finding is that if you're not able to find it readily, then there's a gap in finding the information that you need. Okay, so this is the same 30 links, but just laid out component by component and sorted out by what each link does. So we have degrade, measures, manages, restores. And the pattern shows that every water quality variable has a monitor. So the part of the system, the record is complete. Pattern suggests that most habitats carry little or no or nothing at all, referring to links. seagrass and corals carry no documented links on the documents that we've coded so far, as you can see here. No actor links. So empty row here means there's none in the sources, but it's not a proof that nobody's acting anything. It's not doing anything, right? So once we code all the we put additional documents, for example, the ones from MPCO, then we can have more of the complete picture. So we started with Pagtanaw 2050. So let's go back to that again and read what we found against it. So blue economy needs a governed coast. And right now, based on the documents, the coded documents, the seagrass beds, coral reefs, they have no governing actor at all, while the mangroves are replanted but not managed. Governance needs redundancy, and the Manila Bay Network currently has none. So there are 7 actors that reach the bay through a single node, and in 2025, NEDA was reorganized. So sometimes administrative reform can put a hold on some of those put the partnership at risk. And the Pagtanaw 2050s has a time, right? It's 20 years away. So whatever is happening now, we need to have something long-term that can be sustained through that. So this is what our social analysis show currently, is that we can use it to turn a vision of what a relationship should be, if it exists or does not exist, and then we can try to build that relationship. So in terms of recommendation, the Manila Bay Development Master Plan in 2018 already recommended a Manila Bay Development Authority. It even set the schedule transition from AO16 task force between 2019 and 2022, be fully established by 2023, and it even named a model, the Subic Bay Management and Clark as a development authority model to model the MBDA after. In 2024, the PhilCo's State of Manila Bay report repeats the same recommendation to have like a governing authority, but at the same time, harmonization should be the priority and that the government has to lead it. So now, 2026, the MBDA is still not created. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the bill has been refiled in the 20th Congress, and it's still pending. And currently, the coordination for Manila Bay is led by the Manila Bay Action Plan 2023 to 2027. It has some budget proposal attached to it. So the Manila Bay can learn from the Tokyo Bay and the Chesapeake Bay, which are the 2 other Coast Guard sites. And both bays ended up managing pollution by load rather than by project, but they arrive at an opposite direction. So in Japan, they did legislation first. In 1978, they have an area-wide total pollutant load control for all enclosed seas, and nutrient loads have been falling steady since then. Coordination sits within a council of the local government around the bay. For the Chesapeake Bay, they did the reverse. There was the Chesapeake Bay Partnership, which was a voluntary partnership, was formed in 1983. And then the enforceable limits only happened in 2010, which is under the Clean Water Act, 27 years later. But what the advantage of that too is that the partnership between the Chesapeake Bay states had formed, and there's already some sort of trust, and the science is more coordinated. So Manila Bay actually holds both pieces, right? We have an advantage in terms of the rate of continuing mandamos that since 2008 have compelled provides the accountability instrument. And the Philippines also has a Clean Water Act, which, as I understand, can provide for declaring a water quality management area with a multi-sectoral governing body. And I think the Manila Bay Master Plan also suggested this as part of the recommendation. So they're instrument that can be used to create a Manila Bay Authority. And currently the plan for it is drafted, and then it wants to follow the Subic Bay and the Clark model, which give it two things that the Tokyo Bay and the Chesapeake Bay doesn't have. It will have a statutory standing and a budget line in the General Appropriation Act. That would be a real advantage. But what we can learn from the Tokyo and Chesapeake Bay is the machinery that can make coordination hold between plans, and that part is not yet specified in the bill. We can learn from them to make the Manila Bay Development Authority successful. So each row here is a finding from our analysis. And then the second row is the function it implies and how each of Tokyo Bay and Chesapeake Bay delivers it. So notice that they often solve the same function differently. Tokyo Bay by statute and a council of local government, and the Chesapeake Bay by tiered partnership and standing committee. Right. So that's my recommendation in terms of the Manila Bay. And to circumvent to my application to the Balik Scientist. This is a summary of the outputs in the OST 6Ps. We have some publications, including the State of Manila Bay. We have drafted publications currently for the Coast Guard framework, and then the social analysis paper. We have the products that I've showed earlier. In terms of method, it's the we have the Coast Guard approach, transdisciplinary approach, and then the SNA and the SINA methods once we got it published. For people and services, there's seminars, workshops, and outreach, and for all the projects, there's a lot of people that we reach. Places and partnership, obviously UPMSI, BSU, University of Maryland, Future Earth, DNR, and then the Coast Guard team. And in terms of policies, we're really honing into the Manila Bay gap analysis. And once we finalize the social ecological network analysis, it will have a good inclusion fit and recommendations for that. Okay, so what is next and what will help? So in terms of challenges and next steps, transdisciplinary approach is a really promising way to do things. And I know a lot of projects in the Philippines now are doing the same thing, but it really needs resources, not just monetary resources, but also time. And for Balik Scientists, obviously, especially short-term ones, can limit the depth of community co-production because of those time frame. And also community engagement and capacity building takes time and sustaining engagement. So for the project specifically, I need to finalize the analysis, publish results, and we already have 2 papers that are drafted. Then we'll get that out. We're developing proposals and concept note for future activities, primarily for applying the Coast Guard framework, potentially in other places here in the Philippines. Recommendations more specific to the Balik Scientist program. My recommendation is maybe some form of hybrid delivery in terms of like having virtual and in-person activities that can be included in Bagsanis program. And another thing is mechanism for mentorship type of engagement. I had one of the best thing for me when I did the Coast Guard project is when we have interns. They're called Global Sustainability Scholars. That was funded by the National Science Foundation. Work for us, and we were able to mentor them through the project. One of them we even brought to the Philippines and Japan as part of the Coast Guard. So I think having a way to have maybe mentors from the Balik scientists and then early career or graduate student here in the Philippines would be a great way to do capacity building. Overall, in terms of sustainability in the Philippines, advancing the blue economy portfolio, nutrient governance, marine spatial planning, that's we really need that for Manila Bay, and then really highlighting this small island resilience. And as I said earlier, apply the Coast Guard framework to other watersheds in the Philippines. All right, so it's my thank you slides. Thank you everyone for listening. Thanks to the Bug Scientists Program, Marine Science Institute, the Belmont Forum, Coast Guard, our mentors, Mom Rod and Mom Luli, and all the collaborators. And this is the funding group for our Coast Guard project. Right, so thank you so much.
Ma'am, the pleasure is ours. At marami din pong salamat sa isang napakagandang presentation. So, nakaka-inspire po ma'am na medyo nakakalungkot. Nakaka-inspire kasi ma'am, nakita ko po yung talker sa kayong Chesapeake. Ibig sabihin may pag-asa. Nakakalungkot kasi ma'am, instead of the Philippines moving forward and to be better, apparently we are moving backward. Pero sabi nyo nga po, sa tulong po ng inyong mga pag-aaral, may pag-asa at may solusyon. Now we're going to open our floor sa ating pong mga panelists and attendees for the questions. Kanina po narito si Ma'am Luli pero nawala siya. Baka na-disconnect. Yan po, umpisa po natin kay CM Serafika.
Hello, thank you, Vanessa, for the presentation. I'm also
Thank you
a
po, sir.
scientist from 2014, actually, and I'm trying to connect it with our Pantanal 2050 in NAST and the UST, and I'm part of the business and trade promotion within that operational area. And one way I always try to get the stakeholders, but more importantly, the governing bodies, in this case, DEDA being converted to DepDev, how do you make them move? And how do you provide funding resources from multiple channels? I've had several USAID projects for the last 12 years in the Philippines, after being in the US for 25. So I'm trying to see how to move you forward. I mean, definitely we can talk to RC Balisacan of NEDA to see whether is there already a section of DepDev that's actually going to be handed over, given that the main proponent indeed was NEDA in this case. But more importantly, there's funding. I mean, just today, the blue economy funding coming from France, $200 million that are talking about blue economy. How do we connect what you found in your coast to become more economically driven in terms of recommendations? Because what I'm trying to look at is, say, take Chesapeake Bay in Maryland. You have particular sections of Chesapeake, probably is more commercial. I've been to Baltimore. They renovated 25 years ago that whole area, and it has generated economic value in terms of tourism, in terms of activity and quality of life, upgraded the real estate values along the coastlines, and of course, there's the issue on reclamation. How do we get to that pitch in terms of ano ba yung natutunan natin na makakapagpaganda ng buhay at pagpapalakas ng kita para sa mga tao. I mean, I see that the conflicts on the fisher folk and the urban as being bigger challenges. And how do we teach them? Pag tinulungan nyo to, magkakaroon kayo ng mas maraming kabuhayan, trabaho at kita. So the economic aspect to me is always the carrot. Because I mean, I've seen most of the two, Tokyo and Chesapeake, having the regulatory stick for controlling pollution, controlling certain parameters within the bay. But I'm trying to twist it around to become more economically driven effort. The same way that, of course, SBMA as well as Clark Development Council has turned towards that, with Pax Silica being the bigger proponent right now on the Clark Development part. How do we change the narrative for SBMA para magkaroon na ng actual office sa DepDev that would promote this rather than being stuck in legislation? So it's a convoluted question, but maybe I'll ask
That's a
you.
very loaded question, sir.
Yes.
And
Thank
I
you
feel
for your-
like, I think that's really the balance of it, right? Like, how do we find economic, to marry economic development with environmental protection? And we can argue na importante, especially for blue economy. And Ma'am Rod, I know you unmuted, so you probably know. Go ahead.
Ayoko, ikaw muna.
Sige, ma'am, go ahead po.
Hindi, kasi I have some new information regarding DepEd. In July 2026, they had a workshop. They are now developing the blue economy sector because the DepDev will be the coordinating office for the blue economy. And I gave a keynote talk and they had a workshop. And definitely the goal is to have economic growth and inclusivity. Yun ang pinuntahan nung workshop. And as you said, there are many things that can be done in the bay, but nobody is owning and pursuing what should be done. No? Parang kanya-kanya din, kanya-kanya, kanya-kanya. So I think as what CM, our friend here, said, DepDev should be continuing the effort. Kasi total, sabi mo sila ang central node dyan sa government. And then they are now into developing blue economy section or whatever they can call it. July, end of July eh. Nagkaroon sila ng workshop. It was a whole of government workshop. And so therefore, everyone was in the government was invited. And of course, the other sectors siguro susunod na. Yun. Total sa trade and industry dapat malaki yun. Kasi ang isa sa nila is really value creation aside from inclusivity in the Manila Bay. Marine spatial planning is very important as what you have said. Ano ang pwede gawin at hindi mag-away-away, hindi magkagulo-gulo, and so on. Yun lang. Thank you.
So, Ma'am Rod, question lang. With our political atmosphere, do you think marireach natin yung sinasabi ni CM Serapica na peak para ma-turn around yung Manila Bay into like Tokyo Bay or Chesapeake Bay?
Ako tinatanong mo,
Oh, yes po, ma'am.
mahabang panahon na yung Manila Bay
Kaya nga po, ma'am.
kasi
Red
hindi
tide
siya
pa po, napapanood ko na po kayo sa TV.
hindi siya kinukonsider kasi as something like one ecosystem. Kanya-kanya yung bawat LGU na itong gusto ko sa lugar ko, itong gusto ko sa lugar ko. And then
Tama
yung
po.
mga agencies, iba-iba din. That's the reason why, as early as anong year ba sinabi ni Van, gusto nang i-transform ang Manila Bay Authority ba yon into maging Manila Bay Authority Development Authority na siya kasi hindi siya Manila Bay Development Authority pa. So walang nag-hold nag-hold together. Okay, ikaw na, Van.
Ayun,
Social
nag-mute na si
Yeah, I think the recommendation of social network is clear, right? I think a lot of everyone here kind of knows that's the issue. But is it, and I think Marvin there's a question here now, could it be because the political agenda, di ba? Kasi yun ang problema dyan sa Manila Bay. um, I guess masyado siyang maliit to have and then so many controlling bodies because in the Chesapeake Bay it's big, right? Even though there's 6 states, but at least their area is big and most of um the bay itself is mostly around Maryland. So a lot of the Maryland scientists are really and agencies, all the nonprofits, they're mostly concentrated in Maryland. And their issue is how to get all the like from Pennsylvania that's not really seeing Manila Bay to be part of the Chesapeake Bay Partnership. So yeah. So maybe the a little bit of comparison is Tokyo Bay because it's also the way they're organized is more of smaller units. And I think from our Tokyo Bay partners, that's what they're trying to do now is really to engage the small communities that's by the bay and get them to be more involved. Because once the people that are there is making noise or wants to be involved, then it will be uh it's always better kung mula sa ibaba pataas instead yung top down. Um so that's what I can see from here, but the political issue is something that
Tama po, ma'am. Kanya-kanya pong LGU is may kanya-kanyang
yeah.
mga hangarin at mga kanya-kanyang mga motibo na gustong isulong. So kailangan po sana doon po tayo mag-umpisa. So mapunta po tayo ngayon dito po sa question po sa Q&A box and then followed by Sir Ike Sineres. So from Mr. Ryan Jan Pascual. So thanks Dr. Nguyen for the insightful presentation. Can you please expound further on the concept of mature bay and how does maturity relate to the social networks?
Yeah, so well, there's different levels of maturity, right? So in terms of Manila Bay, Tokyo Bay, and Chesapeake Bay, they have a mature governance system. So their advantage is that, well, I'll speak more about Chesapeake because I know that better. With the Chesapeake Bay program, the network structure there is more centralized hub. Because but before they were decentralized, but because they realized that they need to create a Chesapeake Bay program that can I don't want to say control but manage the bay, they started forming closer cluster of network, and that's good for specific tasks, right? Because you develop the trust, things are easier to the information is easier to pass along. But then the caveat to that is in the long run, you became more sectoral. You're concentrated na yung mga, ang kausap mo na lang yung kaparehas mo ng hub. So in that case, the network then should evolve a little bit to go back to being a little bit more decentralized to share the information. Because right now in Manila Bay, centralized siya in a way na hindi maganda kasi isa lang walang nagko-connect, right? So we need to form the connection. But once you have that connection, then it's important to expand it, and to change that. So I think there's a question from Michelle then
Oh,
from
ma'am. So for
yeah.
Ma'am Isel Caparas po, ma'am, basahin ko lang po. So hi, Ma'am Vanessa. Thank you for the comprehensive presentation. The presentation showed that the fisher folks and barangays are excluded in the network, and yet they are the ones extremely affected. Are there any recommendation to have them included in the network?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So that's one of the things na what we can use the social network analysis for is you can see who are connected in the network, how they're connected, and if they're not connected, how you can connect them. And most of the time, the way to connect them is to their other connections that are probably connected to the the more connected network. So um uh, uh I I don't want to recommend it too much because it can go too academic, right? We don't want to do a lot of analysis and paralysis, but a good quick look of the network, you can see what's missing and who's not there, and then you can make plans on how to get people that are not there on board. So I hope that answered those two questions.
Opo. Now, let's proceed po sa question po ni Sir Ike. Sir Ike, ano pong ating katanungan?
Comments. May overlap sa jurisdiction. Kasi as far as I know, yung LLDA, meron siyang jurisdiction sa Pasig River at saka sa Manila Bay. Now, ang jurisdiction ng MMDA, ganun din eh. Covered niya rin yung general area in areas of Manila Bay. So I think that has to be resolved. And then dun sa hubs binanggit nyo, parang hindi ko nakita yung BFAR. I think BFAR has to be part of the equation. My last question, paano ba yan madala sa ibang area yung knowledge nyo katulad ng Butuan Bay na matagal na rin kailangan ng aksyon? At saka pala, idagdag ko lang, parang nag-die down na yung Mandamos. Parang wala na ako naririnig. Thank you.
Thank you po, sir. So, well, I think yung pinakahuli, yung Mandamus, I think that's the strongest thing that we have, right? Not everyone has a judicial thing kagaya ng Mandamus. So, anyway, for our network here to make that more front and center, maybe would be good. The other question is how we use the framework po, sir, sa other watershed
Places
in
po.
other places. So I think the good thing about the Coast Guard framework, and we've seen it, is that we were able to apply it to different areas na ibang-iba yung level nung like science maturity. And the way to make it really adaptable is if you have the resources, really start co-production right away, yung engage mo na yung stakeholders. So, because once they have ownership, I would say, mas engage sila sa mga activities. But again, like there's a comment na matagal yung bottom-up approach, which is true, and it requires a lot of time, effort, but individual change, tingin ko yun, you know, importante din yun. So may anyway na may makakuha ka ng champion from the top, and then using social network, you can find also kung sino yung pwedeng mag-connect sa mga uninterested, and then that's another way to use social network then is if you can see how people who are the connectors or knowledge brokers, what we call them, na may influence sa mga ibang group, yun yung ayoko not to use the word target, but engage the people that have influence to other people. That's one way to do it.
Ito question lang, dyan po sa Maryland, dyan po sa Chesapeake na area, Do you think malaking factor yung educational status, economic and financial status ng population? That's why they are more aware and more successful yung project as compared right now sa ating bansa. Does it
No.
play a role?
Well, I don't. 'Cause from sa tingin ko, re- economic status, it's not necessarily an education. It really comes down to how people are connected to the resources. So, Chesapeake Bay, I talk about the Chesapeake Bay program and how it's been running and they have a good partnership. But when they did recently, they have an evaluation. They did not meet the target that they set for themselves, which is for a bay that's heavily managed, restored, just science are there, very good science. One of the uh, good management structure, and yet they're not able um, to reach their goal, right? So it's not necessarily hindi there are other factors that goes to it. Right now I'm starting to do more agriculture engagement in the Chesapeake Bay area, so that's also another issue, like chicken farms sa Chesapeake Bay, ang dami niyan. Before ang issue is oysters and crabs. It's still an issue, but now the biggest issue is all the chicken or the poultry, the livestock that are putting adding nutrient loads in the bay, and they have um there's also some kind of lobbying in the US. Malakas din yun. So it's not, no system is perfect. I would say.
Yes. So papunta po tayo, Doc, dito po sa question ni Mr. Tejada. So the Pasig River has a rehabilitation agency under the office of the president and has a sizable budget. But look at Manila Bay. Pasig River has two flows depending on the season. Water from Manila Bay flows upstream to Laguna Lake and vice versa. Don't we think that Manila Bay needs urgent focused protection?
Yeah, but I agree, Marvin, and I think that's what Ma'am Rod is also trying to say, and that Manila Bay really needs. I don't know why, but they're not looking at Manila Bay as a one system. When if you look at the Manila Bay watershed or catchment area, it extends all the way to Bulacan and other areas, and all the Pasig, Laguna, they drain into the Manila Bay, so they are part of the Manila Bay watershed.
Yes, unfortunately, isang napakalaking drainage ng mga waste and septic waste na ng mga lugar dito sa buong Luzon. Now let's go po dito po sa question po ni Picard MRRD. Thank you and congratulations on your presentation. I am impressed by your 6 Ps. As an output of the BSP work, the great challenge is for the follow-through work for coordination, continuation, sustainability of the work to mobilize or empower our local communities and fisher folks so that they will be really involved to move forward and play an important role in supporting our blue economy vision and plan. So your work, I believe, will contribute on this aspect too. Saka
Thank
sabi
you.
din po ni Sir Marvin, May Kawayan River drains into the Manila Bay is filled with metal leachate pollution. Totoo naman po yan.
Talagang ang pollution ay problema.
Yes, it is. So, more on, sabi ko nga po, sa NY side, ginawa pong napakalaking septic tank ng ating mga kababayan, ang Laguna Bay, ang Pasig River. So, palabas po talaga siya ng Manila Bay. There's no other exit kung hindi doon. Now, let's go po sa question po ni Sir Ike.
Hindi pa nasagot. Yung
Hindi pa
unang
nasagot.
dalawang tanong.
Hindi pa, dalawang tanong siya, hindi pa nasagot.
Oo.
Can you repeat?
Sir, ano po yung una, Sir? Kasi na-catch lang po namin is yung sa
Apat kasi.
Butuan River, tapos yung pong sa Mandamos. Ano po ulit yung dalawa, Sir?
Yung LLDA, may jurisdiction sa Pasig River at saka at saka Manila Bay, no? And yung BIFAR, parang wala sa picture.
Yes
Yun,
po.
yun ang tanong ko.
Opo, so yung may mga documents pa po ako na hindi nako-code, so more or less malamang yung BIPAR lalabas. We'll see. But I agree. And I think yung tanong niyo about LLD, yung anong tawag dun, yung anong tawag dun, Mark? Yung jurisdiction na
Overlap.
overlap yung patong. That is a lot of people on the comments that say the same thing, right? Na that's a big issue, but if you zoom out, right, if you just consider Manila Bay, then parang mariresolve mo yung jurisdiction issue if you say Manila Bay, whatever the Manila Bay Authority will have jurisdiction to all the others. I don't know, but
May I
Opo.
add something on that?
Yes po, Ma'am Rod.
Well, of course, the MMDA is supposed to be concerned more on the land, di ba? More on the land. But of course, it also takes care of the Pasig River, I hope. But then the other group, which is the Manila Bay, I cannot remember yung name niya. Manila Bay, it's not an authority, but it's the one that is monitoring the freshwater inputs into the bay. Yun ang ano nun. And that's the one that we worked with during that PhilCoast project. Okay. And the approach really is to consider the river inputs into the bay. And that is part of the report, the updated Manila Bay report of 2024. And we also recommended that this Manila Bay office be upgraded into an authority. Para ano na siya, ang authority niya is for the whole Manila Bay system, hindi lang yung patya-patya. At saka yung overlap with the MMDA be sorted out. Because the MMDA, although it's supposed to be taking charge of the land aspect, sometimes it gives reports on the rivers and so on. But the bigger output from the other areas, like from Laguna and from Bulacan and Pampanga, they should be incorporated into the management of the entire Manila Bay system. Kasi nga, patya-patya nga, yun na sinabi ni ano kanina, ni Bataan area, we also had, well, of course, it's included. From Bataan to Pampanga, Bulacan, Manila, Cavite, it's included in the whole system. Pero yung Metro Manila lang yan. So in the Manila-based system, it should be one system. Okay? Yung ano nga, ang pinupuntahan lang palagi, yung land at saka yung konting inputs, hindi tinitignan yung buong system. Unlike in Chesapeake Bay and Tokyo Bay, as pointed out by Van in her report, na recommendation, talagang wala pang ano, yung sabi nga namin, DANR should also push for the one system approach for Manila Bay and all the bays. In fact, hindi yung kung anong gusto ng LGU. They should be talking to one another. Yung how do we manage the bay, or how do we manage our water system? Hindi man pwedeng naghahalo-halo yan eh. Hindi man pwedeng,
Tama po.
di ba? Okay, yun ang point niya.
So, Ma'am Rod, kailangan po magkaroon tayo ng Manila Bay Development Authority na kung saan po whatever is yung mga ordinance ng iba't ibang munisipyo, iba't ibang lugar, mas mataas pa rin po yung Manila Bay Authority. So magsusupersede pa rin po whatever is the rules and kung ano po patakaran na ibibigay po ng authority. Ay ma'am,
Kasi
nakamute po kayo ma'am?
yung mga transboundary issues at saka yung
Mhm.
social network analysis na ano ang gagawin nito, sino gagawa nito, how are they connected as pointed out. Kaya nga sabi ko kay maganda yung input mo. If we can have this presented to a bigger body na pwedeng pakinggan kung bakit nagkakaganyan dyan sa not only in Manila Bay but in all the other bays.
Yeah, kasi if you consider the Chesapeake Bay, 'di ba malaki rin siya, no? So there's a Chesapeake Bay program, pero yung mga sub-watershed, meron din silang sariling commission like yung sa Susquehanna. Isa sa pinakamalaking input sa Chesapeake Bay. There's a Susquehanna River Basin Commission, there's a Potomac River Basin Commission, but they're all part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. They also adhere to the Chesapeake Bay program. Pero it doesn't mean na hindi sila makikinig, right? So that's why it's good to have the big agency, and then merong maliliit. Kasi syempre iba-iba rin naman yung needs. So it like when I did the Mississippi River Watershed report card a long time ago, ang Mississippi watershed is the third largest watershed in the world, I think. So malaki yun, 40 plus states. We did one report card for the whole Mississippi. Ang naging issue, masyado siyang general for the Mississippi watershed because the boundary became too big. So the next push is to make it more regional. So for Manila Bay, I think it's reasonable to have one Manila Bay authority, and then the others underneath that they can still function as they do, but there should be one authority that oversees the whole system, like Ma'am Rod was saying.
Now, papunta po tayo sa last question po sa ating chat box from Miss Michelle Caparas. Since may environmental report card na po ang Laguna de Bay at kasalukuyan po ginagawa yung report card sa Manila, meron po bang mga initiatives to also develop a report card for Pasig River para makumpleto yung water system na ito?
If there is one, I'm happy to help. I'm just plugging that in. And I can put my email there. Someone's asking.
Opo, si Mr. Tejada po, kung paano daw po makukonect po sa inyo because input niya with my ongoing research. Ayan po. Ito po, meron pong tanong sa ating panel, si Sir Ted. Yes, Sir Ted? Sir Ted, you raise your hand. Baka napindot lang ni Sir. So anyone who wants to connect with Dr. Vanessa, ito po ang kanyang email address sa chat box po natin, vvargas@umces.edu.
So, dalawang V po yun sa umpisa.
V Vargas po, tama po. So, ma'am, ito po, Doc. Yes, Sir Ted? Naka-mute po kayo, sir. Paki-unmute po. Sir Ted, we cannot hear you. Sir?
Hello,
Ayan
hello,
po.
hello. Oh, naririnig na ba ako?
Yes, sir. Po.
Yeah. Naalala ko na naman si Doc Maala. I'll take his role. You know, nung bata pa ako, naririnig ko yung lolo ko na nangingista pa daw dyan sa Pasig River. Ang dami daw isda. Mga sometimes siguro yun, mga 1950s. Although, hindi pa ako sinisilang noon. Siguro ang population natin noon, mga less than 20 million lang tayo, ano. Ngayon po kasi naging 120 million na. Ang malaking problema kasi yung sabi nga ni BBM, hindi naman sa yung kawalan ng disiplina ng mga tao, ano. Kaya yung basura natin, mga plastic, naging global news nga yung Pasig River. Dami ng basura, ano po. So, hindi ko po alam kung paano natin re-remedyo yan, although merong Pasig River cleanup, etc. So siguro po tingnan din natin yung anong ganon, paano natin mapapaalalanan ng mga tao ganon. At ang basura, hindi lamang doon sa parang laganap na buong bansa. Parang yatang number 1 tayo ngayon sa plastic eh. Puro basura natin ang plastic. Kaya yun, hindi na-degrade, etc. So,
Sir, paano po
correlated
natin
naman sa
iiwasan ang
plastic.
plastic? Business po yan ng mga politiko.
Yun na nga eh. Actually, meron ngayong naka-raise na complaint sa na-involved din ako dun sa complaint na yon, dun sa plastic po. So may mga bansa na yung ano ba yon? Yung plastic na isang gamit lang ay ban na eh. Yung mga ganun ba? Ang isa pang nagpadami sobra ng natin yung mga sachet. We use
Kasi economy po tayo, sir. Tama po yan.
Oo, yung mga sachet na yan, pagka dami-dami, napakahirap din hong ma-decompose yun. So yung mga sari-saring pinanggagalingan siguro ng ating basura, tingnan din po natin yan. At sana meron na rin gumagawa ng study na ganyan at ma-invite natin at magkatulong-tulong po sa mga ganun. So, yun lamang po, correlated yung paglaki ng populasyon kasi sa ating nandun pa rin tayo sa 1.7 million per year. Patuloy pa rin lumolobo ang ating populasyon. Kaya isang research na ginagawa ko na naman ngayon, paano yung overpopulation natin? Ano ang antidote dyan? Kung aabot tayo ng 180 million, 120 million na tayo ngayon, paano kaya ang itsura ng Pilipinas by that time? Sigurado kung hindi magbe-birth control, at hindi mapoponduan yan, aabot po tayo sigurado sa 180 million within the next 40 years, 50 years, baka hindi pa aabutin. Yun lamang po. So,
Pero
of
huwag na
course,
kayong mag-alala kasi madami pa po kami mga millennials na wala pa pong pamilya at wala pang anak. Yung aming generation po, sir, ay madami nang ayaw mag-anak.
Yes. Pero sa dami natin kasi yung base di ba?
Opo,
Ilang
sir.
porsyento yung mataas na ng level ng education, pare, tama ka doon Okay? Pag nakikinig ako kay Ted Pailon pag sa umaga, yung mihingi ng tulong. Pag tinanong ni Ted Pailon, ilan ba ang anak mo? 6 po. 8 po. Naku, bakit naman dumami ng ganyan? Yung mga ganun ba? So, yun.
Tama po, sir.
Oo.
Saka sir, kapag pumadami po tayong anak at hindi kayang buhayin, ang kaya lang po natin ipakain sa mga anak natin ay mga pansit canton na highly reliable din po sa plastic. At ang mga plastic na po ito, itatapon po natin sa basurahan, pupunta sa ilog, pupunta sa Manila Bay. So sir, malaking factor po talaga ang population sa problema po ng ating bansa.
Yes. Nag-agree ka rin. Yes.
Doc Vanessa, one last question bago po tayo magtapos. Sa inyo pong kaibuturan na inyong puso, ito po bang pagbabago na inyong inaadhika ay mangyayari hopefully during your lifetime dito sa Manila Bay?
Well, we should always be hopeful, right? Na I think Ma'am Rod will make it happen.
Kasi Ma'am Rod, di ba nakaka-frustrate na we have the science and yet hindi po nating ma-achieve yung resulta na dapat pong sinusulong ng siyensya. Di ba po, ma'am? Ma'am, nakamute po kayo.
Oo. Si Luli, tagal na namin yan, Future Earth na yan, tsaka umiikot kami sa buong Pilipinas. Sabi, governance is the main problem. Governance. Diba?
Opo.
Governance. Magmula sa mataas hanggang sa mababa. At saka self-governance, yung governance ng ating sarili, yung ating disiplina, ika nga ng iba. And
Tama
so
po.
dapat huwag tayong tumigil sabi na let's be more hopeful habang may buhay, may pag-asa, ika nga nila.
Tama po. So
Diba?
i-relate ko lang
Good
po ma'am
governance.
yung sinabi niyo po ma'am about sa sasabi po ni Sir Bert Ranola that what can help is recycling of waste products. Galing ako sa RFM at sinabi sa akin yan na ginagawa
So
nila yan.
yan.
Ginagawa nila yan. And from Ryan John Pascual, there is a need to check and boost
Cycle,
ocean
yeah.
literacy din po.
Kasama yun, of course.
Ayun po. And
Actually, may I say something? Sabi ko nga sa DepEd at saka sa CHED, yung marine and ocean literacy, ipasok sa mga kung hindi hindi kailangan dagdagan ng ng mga teachers. Huwag pahirapan sila and even the students. May mga learning resources galing sa NAST, galing sa DOST, isama sa kanilang pinag-aaralan yung karagatan natin na mapapakinabangan through our blue economy.
alam niyo din po, Ma'am Rod, napansin ko rin po, nung kabataan ko po, back in the 90s, napakalaganap po ng mga programa sa cable saka sa TV, Discovery Channel, National Geographic, na nagbibigay po ng pagkamulat sa kalikasan. So ma'am, during that time, kapag nakakakita po ako ng mga naputol na bundok, na kalbong bundok, mga nasirang coral, sagagalit po ako eh. Ma'am,
Nawala
pero
na
kayo,
yung mga ganong shows.
nawala na po ma'am, kailangan po yung ibalik.
Hindi,
Kasi ma'am,
meron yung
nawala
show
po
ni
sa...
Ding Dong. Yung show ni Ding Dong, na-interview pa ako doon, na show ni Ding Dong.
Ma'am,
Wala na ata
unfortunately
yun.
po, yung cellphone po na supposedly magbibigay sa atin ng tamang edukasyon, siya po yung nag-push away sa mga kabataan kasi ma'am, puro TikTok,
Oo,
puro,
puro cellphone. Oh.
puro cellphone ma'am. So wala na
Pero
pong
pwede
content.
ipasok sa mga cellphone content or whatever. Wala na. Even the regular media. Kasi ang interest talaga ngayon, iba na.
Tama po ma'am.
Pero dapat hindi tayo tumigil. Kasi
Tama po ma'am.
kung wala na yung environment, wala na.
Yes po ma'am. So definitely ma'am, darating po ang oras na we will be a first world country. Di ba po,
Oh.
Doc Van? Yes sir, Ike.
Maabot ko lang about governance. Dapat science-driven ang governance. Having said
Definitely.
that, siguro dapat DOST na ang convener ng policy planning. Huwag NEDA. Sorry to say, walang passion ng NEDA eh. No? At ang DENR, I think DENR is overwhelmed.
Oo, dami na. Even
Dami
before.
nilang ginagawa. Oo.
Before, then
So, gawin. I don't know if anyone will remember, there was a time na mayroong Science and Technology Coordinating Council na kung saan convener ang DOST.
DOST.
I used to
ewan ko kung
attend
meron
that.
ganun pa.
Wala na po.
That's true. Wala na.
Maybe
That's true.
ganun dapat ang gawin. Thank
That's
you,
true.
ma'am.
Kaya nga minsan, yung DOST secretary was connecting to the specific expert. If there's a problem, for example, sa isang, diretso yung DOST secretary nakikipag-connect sa expert. Kaya minsan, the president is aware na kung sino ang expert na dapat tanungin. Si Gloria Arroyo, alam niya. Noon,
Yes po.
siguro din yung iba. Kaya nga minsan noon, kasi nung panahon ni Gloria, yung toxic red tide, uso. Talagang right there from Malacanang, magtatanong sila. Ang secretary ng science, kailangan may sagot ka. Kailangan yung sagot mo within today, we have to answer. Kaya decision
Yes
nila
po.
based on science. I don't know, that should be convened again if that is not convened. So ang bida, DOST, Science and Technology and Innovation ang tutulong sa planning and etc.
Ma'am, as long as mas mataas pa po ang qualification ng mga janitor kumpara sa mga politikong ibinoboto po natin when it comes to educational attainment, wala po tayong magiging science-based solution sa mga problema po natin. Mahirap po siyang ma-achieve, ma'am. Imagine, ma'am, ang janitor, mas mataas pa yung educational attainment na hinahanap sa resume kumpara po sa mga senador at congressman na binoboto po ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Nakakalungkot. Anyways, mahirap po maging masyadong political, but alam po natin lahat na ito po ay isang malaking problema ng ating bayan. Doc Vanessa, meron po tayong last message para po sa ating mga viewers at sa mga makakapanood po nito sa ating YouTube channel?
Maraming salamat sa magandang discussion today, and I'm very encouraged and hopeful na we can achieve a sustainable Manila Bay. I feel like programs like this, the SDG Action Hour, dapat mas malaki yung ano nyo, tawag dito,
Network
maybe
and
network.
reach.
Yeah, yung videos in the beginning, they're really good. I think the discussions are insightful. In preparation for this, I've watched a couple of them. So, continue the good work, and please, you can reach out to me. I think I put my email if you want to connect. I'm happy. And again, thanks sa Balik Scientist programs. Thanks to Ma'am Rod and Ma'am Ludi as well.
Ma'am, thank you din po sa pagbibigay po ng oras sa amin kahit po madaling araw na po dyan sa Maryland. So, masasabi ko lang po na sa pamamagitan po na mas matibay na koordinasyon at siyensya, muli natin maibabalik ang buhay ng Manila Bay para sa kasalukuyan at sa mga susunod na henerasyon. Hindi po sapat ang simpleng pag-uusap lamang. Ika nga po ni Doc Vanessa, we don't protect what we don't know. Walang halaga ang mga bagay na hindi natin alam. Kaya mahalaga na tayo ay may alam. So thank you po sa pagsama po sa amin ngayong hapon. And samahan niyo po kami ulit next week sa isa na mapapagandang episode ng ating programa. And we enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye po. Salamat po.
Bye. Thank you.